Maloney?
Here.
Trustee Schwarzy?
Here.
Trustee McCarthy?
Here.
Mayor Severino?
Please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the
to the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There a motion to approve the minutes of our July 20th, 2020 Village Board meeting.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by trustee Fruzoloni, seconded by trustee Swarzy. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Zalik?
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca? Aye. Trustee Giesers?
Aye.
Trustee Fruzoloni?
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy?
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy?
Abstain.
Under audience participation, we have in the listening post, we have Tom Garvey. Tom?
Quick. I'd like to speak on the text amendment for the Cannabis Cultivation Center and Craft Growers. I rise to encourage you to vote against this acceptance. This was already dealt with at a previous meeting, and you voted against it. And I just want to encourage you to have the courage of your convictions and the moral clarity to maintain that resistance to allowing cultivation centers to come into Carol Stream. Only 1/3 of the local communities that were surveyed by the staff have ordinances that allow this to happen. But it doesn't say how many of those villages are actually going to let it happen, because the licenses haven't been issued yet and won't be for another year. So what I feel like is that the premature action of trying to do this now is really to preempt any of the other communities from allowing cultivation centers to come in and to allow Carol Stream to be the place to grow cannabis. Another point is that we're in the midst of a unified development ordinance, and rezoning of properties is expected, so we don't know what the impact of that's going to be. The suggested text also includes the prohibition of hiding the appearance and purpose of these cultivation centers. Now, why might that be? Why do we want to hide the fact that we're going to have cultivation centers in Carol Stream? Is it because we're ashamed of it? The people don't want this really in their community. If you can't see it, it's not happening. Furthermore, the finances that might come from this, by the way, this can't be taxed, the cultivation centers, from what I understand of the regulations. You can only tax the retail outlets of it. You can't tax the cultivation centers. So what's the financial benefit for Carol Stream? I don't see any. You can't even have an occupation tax charged against these people. So there's no financial benefits. And I had some other points, but the square footage issue that's part of this ordinance, I think that's also misleading, because each one of these cannabis plants can only take 1 to 2 square feet per plant. And if you've initially allowed 5,000 square foot properties to be used for this, that means at least 5,000 plants. And they're not going to just use them on one level. They'll have 2 or 3 levels of it. So you're talking about tens of thousands in the smallest plants possible, in the smallest units possible. Not to mention the fact that they can change the regulations to allow larger places to be used for this. So I rise to ask you to remember that you decided against this some time ago. And what I'm afraid of is that Carol Stream will be changed from being the place that's a good place to live, work, and raise your family to being a good place to cultivate cannabis. Because Carol Stream will become the place in Illinois where cultivation is done. It's going to be able to be shipped throughout the state and beyond, as far as I understand. There's no place that, around here that's going to allow it, that has the space that Carroll Stream does. So I just ask you to remember your previous decision and follow through on it.
Thank you, Mr. Garvey.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Greg Polchowski? Yeah, you know what, I was gonna,
that far.
I should have asked Tom to take his off because it's a lot easier to hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And before I get started, just like to thank all of you. You're leading us through some very turbulent times, okay? And your commitment and your dedication to our community is appreciated. And I also appreciate the opportunity for an average Joe just to come up and voice an opinion, okay? That's really encouraging. And my opinion is that except for medical marijuana, there's no place for marijuana in our community, whether it be growing facilities, retail outlets, whatever. There's no place for it. Only my opinion, one of 7 billion on the planet, okay? So, you know, and even though it's legal, we can do better. We can do so much better. I looked it up today, as reported, AmericanMarijuana.org, okay, a very pro-marijuana website, said that about 12% of the American population uses recreational pot. Okay, 12%. If we're looking to attract business to Carroll Stream, can we do something that's going to appeal to a little broader range and a potential customer base than 12% of the population? We can do better. And you know, if you turn on the TV, our culture is falling apart. We're circling the drain. And, you know, just as an average Joe, we're being asked to swallow a lot right now. Schools are not opening normally. The churches are closed. Police are the enemy. Oh, come on, really? And somehow, you know, violence, burning, tearing down landmarks, that's acceptable. I think we can do better. Like I said, you know, we're asked to swallow a lot. And when it comes to pot, people like me who have a zero tolerance are called dinosaurs, unenlightened, unenlightened and backwards, and old. I'll give you old, okay, I'll agree with that. But, you know, the rest of them. And then on the flip side, getting high is good, okay? Not only is it good, it's essential. Got to keep the pot shops open during the lockdown. Come on, you know, the mental health of our kids is at stake here. Suicide rates are going up. And we're spending time on on finding a place to put the pot business in our community. I just don't buy it. You know, one of our previous meetings, one of you said that we could take the extra revenue from pot sales and hire more police, okay? And the unsaid word was, well, to combat the extra crime that we might experience. Here we are just several short months later, and look what's happening in our country. The police, there's movements to defund the police. Don't do it here, Mr. Mayor. We need this guy and everybody on his squad, okay? So, you know, but that's what we're asked to swallow. And so how's that strategy working for you? Hire more police using marijuana funds? I mean, come on. Allowing the marijuana industry to sprout roots in Carroll Stream, well, it's only going to confuse our kids more. It's going to make the jobs of our police officers who are already working their butts off, it's going to make that tougher. It's going to increase your budget for police training, because we're hearing about that too. We need to train the police more, not what, enough said. So I ask you, before you vote tonight, before you vote on letting this place have a marijuana growing facility, take a look at all those previous leaders that served here in Carroll Stream. And each of them, you know, turned over a vibrant and a growing community to you, the custodians of these current positions that you're in, okay? And what would they say if they were sitting here and you're talking about establishing pot facilities in Carroll Stream? Every one of those people made our community better. What's your legacy going to be to our community, to our kids and our grandkids? So it's enough said. All right, if you understand why we want to keep the pot business out of our community, no further explanation is necessary. if you don't understand why we want to keep the pot business out of our community, all the explanation of the world isn't going to make any difference. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. Richard Sion? Richard Sion, I don't want to pronounce the last name, Pertuit? Yeah.
I'm here actually to discuss one of the agenda items.
Richard Scott, is that what it is? Okay, would you take the podium, please?
I'm here actually to discuss one of the agenda items. I put my name on there in case I was needed to provide any testimony for the Carroll Stream Marketplace.
For what?
For the Carroll Stream Marketplace, okay.
Oh, okay, you can sit back down, thank you. Okay, cultivation, oh, John Roman. I didn't even see John come in.
Good evening, Board and Mayor Savarino. We actually rushed home from dropping off our third child in Indiana at school to make sure we're here for this meeting because we felt this was just way too important to not be here and share our opinions on. You know, it's what I guess is just talking to so many friends and people in the community as a small businessman, is somebody who,
Take it down.
this down, thank you.
We're far enough apart here.
Thank you. Okay. Coming from the point of view, we're in our third house in Carroll Stream. My wife is born and raised here in our fourth house, I believe, in Carroll Stream. We've raised 3 kids here, and it's been a wonderful experience and a great community to raise our kids in. And, you know, here we are in a time where, you know, we're dealing with concerns that 3 or 4 or 5, 6 months ago, we probably never would have thought we were going through. Things such as rioting and looting. You look up the fact that, and this was a few minutes of research and things, you know, we've heard, but you looked up the fact that one of the issues with bringing in these marijuana, not dispensaries, cultivation centers is they have a fairly high rate of crime and robbery. People are obviously trying to get in, thinking there's a lot of cash there, there's plants they can get, and they can make more money off of. And here we are in this wonderful community, Carroll Stream, that we've grown up with, and look at as a safe community. And just the fact of the matter that we're thinking about bringing something like this in our community, making our community less safe instead of doing some things like supporting our small businesses that are going through so many challenges right now. You know, doing the things we need to do to make this community safer instead of unsafe. You know, we just don't get it. A big issue I'm seeing right now, and I'm just going to kind of share with you guys as a small businessman, and a guy that works with a lot of people. I'm involved with a few business groups. I know of more than a few companies that have made it very clear, if this is passed in this town, they will be out of here as soon as they can. And I'm just going to bluntly tell you guys, I couldn't agree more. You look this stuff up, there's issues with employees, just the fact that it's legal, people can get their hands on it a lot easier. It's just one thing leads to another. It doesn't lead to a safer business environment, especially if you're manufacturing. You got guys driving forklifts, the works. It's just not, it's not something that any of us really want to support or see be a part of our community. Another issue that has come to my attention recently from a good friend who's a fireman, and I understand Mr. Shorsey's on the fire department, is how do we handle, God forbid, there's a fire in a dispensary? From what I understand, it's not going to be handled in the same manner that we would handle a normal fire. Guys have to wear certain masks, certain suits. What happens pollution-wise? Do you guys realize that in Denver, they've realized because of spark and emissions that it is clearly causing concerns over pollution problems as well in our environment. So, you know, just naturally in thought, I'm my warehouse, which we're looking to move into Carroll Stream right now, is in St. Charles, and we're right down the block from FONA, Flavors of North America. Every time they produce Kool-Aid, it smells really nice throughout the entire neighborhood. If anybody's been down Cotts Road, you know it. My concern as well would be, as well as many people, what's going to happen when we start producing cannabis or marijuana in our neighborhoods? I certainly don't want to smell skunk in a neighborhood that I love and cherish. I believe by us making the wrong decision here, it's going to end up costing us a lot in revenues because a lot of people are going to want to leave. It's bad enough we're in a state right now where obviously we're one of the top move-out states because of bad decisions made, obviously, by our politicians. I really don't want to see Carroll Stream become a move-out town because we make one bad decision. And again, I'm going to share with you guys, you know, we run a program, FCA Impact, a local baseball program, and, you know, we decided to do this because we wanted to help our kids understand how, you know, dealing with failure in life, making bad decisions in life, you know, obviously can cost you in the long run. Also help them to understand you can grow through the failures you go through. But it's so about the decisions we make in life, and we encourage our kids to always make the right decisions, always support the right things. We know, as the gentleman mentioned earlier, that's one of my bullet notes I can't turn down, is the fact that suicide rates are skyrocketing right now. Do we actually think if we bring a cannabis situation or a marijuana cultivation center in our town that's going to help any of our kids? It's going to help any of those rates in suicide go down? I think it's pretty clear. We know it's certainly not going to help, and it's probably going to make it worse. So, you know, as a person that's been in this town for many years, raised 3 kids, and love this town of Carroll Stream, it's very discouraging as it is to many people out there that have been here a lot longer than I have as well, to hear that we're even considering this right now. And I truly believe, as a businessman, and speaking to all the guys, and the understanding I have guys that are in Carroll Stream and out, if this was a scenario, they had their manufacturing business that had to be, and the town brought in a cultivation center, I don't think too many people would want to be around that. And it'd probably be a really good reason to pull those revenues out. We're blessed. I think I heard we have 3% in our vacancy rate only in our industrial parks. I mean, that's a blessing. If we bring something like this in, that's going to change. I guarantee you guys, it's going to change. And a lot of good people are going to make decisions to run their businesses and live their lives in other towns and walk away very disappointed because they believed in something and our officials couldn't vote to make a better decision for them. At that, I think I just want to plead with you guys and ask that you please, please consider what this means. This isn't just a vote, it's our community. People who love this place, who have grown and raised their families here. And we're not happy. Most are not happy about this situation. There's just not enough positive reasons, and I can't really figure it out. Even if we thought there was additional income coming into our town for this, which we're finding out it really isn't, because you're spending money in other areas to take care of issues and problems that are going to come through this. It doesn't matter. It's the principle. And I just beg you guys to do the best you can and make the right decision for our community so we can stick around a lot longer and enjoy this town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roman. Richard, you're here for the building that's going to be going up on North Avenue, is that right? Okay, so Okay, because usually we never get any of these, that's why I was calling you up. I didn't look at the bottom, usually people want to talk. Is there anybody that's here that didn't sign in that would like to say something about pot? You put your hand up, come on. Come to the podium, please. We usually don't unless you fill a pa, but I want to get everybody to get up here, come on, come on. No, you take the mask
Now,
off,
if you want that.
take the mask off.
Hello there. I'll take my mask off. Thank
Yeah,
you very much.
This way we could hear you
I can
clear.
breathe now.
There you go. Yeah, amen.
Amen.
Good evening, Mayor and the board. I just want to say, just what John said so beautifully, I think is in my heart, and there's a lot of hearts in that same place. We love Carol Stream. We love it. Please do not do this. That waste management, remember that big thing years ago? They wanted to have that distribution center and then divvy out all the garbage all over the place. Well, we won. And now this is a different type of garbage coming in. We don't need this. The question that keeps coming to my mind, why are we doing it? Why should this even be a vote? Why? I don't know. Does somebody have an answer for that?
Well, we're not allowed to answer anything.
You're not,
At the
okay, that was the
listening
question I asked
could
before I
answer
came
you
up
for an
here.
hour if you wanted me to, but.
I would love to,
I can't
because
do that.
I don't see any benefits from this at all.
Well, let me break the rule here a little bit. We have 25 manufacturers, or people that grow. Actually, is that right when I say 25? Give or take more or less, that want to come here and do something. We don't know that. We don't know, we don't know what they want to do till they ask. We stopped selling. We don't want it sold. We didn't want pot shops. We didn't, that was not what we wanted.
Right.
But we have, when people ask us for something, we have to at least look at it. Community development has to ask the planning commission. We have to look for spots in Carroll Stream. And we have about 4.1%. I think I could be wrong, but it's a little over 4. That's still, when you look at 22 million square feet, 4% is nothing. And I know there's more people coming to take those buildings. I don't even think there'd be a place to do it in Carroll Stream, but we at least have to be open enough.
Okay.
You know, we could easily say, and this is, don't take this, please don't take this the wrong way. I have a way of putting my foot in my mouth. We could put another property tax on, and then all of this would go away. But we're trying to make it good for everybody, and we have to at least listen to the people that want to do stuff here. I mean, some of the people that spoke tonight, I have a lot of respect for.
I know.
You know, I mean, a lot of respect that people that I know that really love this community, and for them to come forward and say how they feel. So we'll wait until the vote comes tonight, and then we'll see. But thank you.
Well, that's my thoughts, you know, I just was very upset, especially with that waste management not being denied, and now this is another type of the same thing. And I just would hope and pray that you say that you vote no to this.
See, you mentioned the
From the bottom of my
transfer
heart.
station.
Yeah.
Once that started, no matter what we wanted, nature took its course. We went through 28 meetings?
Yeah.
28
yes, I
meetings.
remember.
We sat there with the people from Glendale Heights going crazy. I don't think anybody on the board even wanted it, but once it started, we couldn't stop it.
Right.
They put in for it, they applied for it, and that was the way it was. In my case, it was even worse because they said, you live at the other end of town. My building's 2 blocks from there. I didn't want it any more than
No, I
anybody
know,
else did.
I know.
But I mean, we had to take the system that we have. We can't just say no, and we can't just say yes.
I just think the thing that concerns me too is that it's so close to residential.
Well, it's not close.
It's not
In the
close, but it
industrial
is.
park,
There's, as I understand, there's diesel engines that are putting out, running this, some kind of, I think, a diesel chemicals, more than just, you know, and there's a water problem. It takes a lot of water to
well, that was,
feed
and
these
somebody
plants.
said we don't make any money on it. We have utility tax. We get paid for the amount of water that they use. We get paid for the electric. It takes a lot of electric. So technically, no, they don't sell it, and we don't get any money on what's sold. But we would get money, and it depends on how much they grow. In a small facility, I don't think it's gonna be that big anyway. But we do get a utility tax, which could be, in some cases, I think, and I don't wanna mention names because then I'll have the mayor calling me saying, why are you telling people that? There is a town right now, just east of us and north, that looks like they're gonna be putting in some kind of data center that'll be running $100,000 a year in extra taxes for them because of the power that they pull. I mean, so those are the things we have to look at. That's why Don Bastian does his job in community development, and he's got his staff of people. And, I mean, we got a good group here. I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back, they do all the work. But I mean, they have to bring to us what they think people want.
Well, I don't think people would want this,
Well, apparently, I mean, and
apparently, and that's why
don't forget,
I'm
we all
here.
live here too.
I know, so let's go
Okay, thank you.
to that. Thank you very much.
Okay. Their motion to establish,
They gotta read those in.
oh, I'm sorry. Joe, are you going to read those?
Yes.
Okay.
The first one is from Shannon and Janet
Take the
Leslie.
mask off, Joe.
No, I'm okay, thanks.
Huh?
I'm okay.
leave it
I'll
up.
talk loud.
Okay.
Shannon and Janet Leslie, 790 Trinity Court. This is regarding an ordinance for wood pellet smokers and fire pits for people with health problems. We are experiencing a neighbor who is using the wood smoker daily and the fire pit. This is new and since having a disagreement. I and my mother have health problems and cannot breathe the wood smoke of either burn being used. They again have old firewood sitting out on the patio getting rained on yesterday. This creates mass smoke which has previously entered our home, making breathing very difficult. A lot of this burning is spiteful, unfortunately. We are asking for the ordinance to be revised to include a schedule of burns and a limit of how many days per week and hours. This revision would be for people with health problems, and doctor's note could be provided. It is very hard to be shut in the house every day. It is also hard to breathe when we are outdoors and suddenly breathing in pellet smoke from the smoker. It is awful to be inside, doors open, and they start the pit with wet old wood, and our house is filled with smoke. We are hoping for a positive change. Thank you, Shannon and Janet Leslie. Next one, Justin Lynch, 1345 Cold Spring Road. This is in support of ordinance number 2 on the village board agenda. I am writing to support amending Chapter 16 of the municipal code to allow for adult-use cannabis cultivation centers and craft growers in the industrial district. Since the previous discussion about cannabis zoning over the winter, the world has changed drastically. Even opponents of adult-use cannabis can agree that their worst-case scenarios did not come true. Legalized cannabis sales have come in above expectations for the state. Crime related to cannabis anywhere in the suburbs that have opted into the laws is non-existent, and there is substantial interest in inquiries for the village for craft growing establishments, 25 since the start of the year, in fact. With the worst recession in decades and cuts coming to municipal government, village trustees owe it to the community to not let one source of revenue go unturned. I strongly support this revision to the municipal code. Thank you for your time and consideration. Next one is from Laura Pruitt, 167 Elk Trail. This is regarding the enforcement of not feeding geese and driving on Veterans Parkway. How should I go about enforcing the village ordinance to not feed waterfowl in my subdivision? I witness it on a regular basis. Where I live, I can see Veterans Parkway north of Elk Trail. Public-owned cars drive on it daily and sometimes park on it for a short period of time. What can I do about this situation? There are children and other pedestrians trying to walk, bike on Veterans Parkway. The sign stated, authorized vehicles only, do not deter individuals. I see them turn from Elk Trail onto Veterans Parkway and head north. Last public comment that we received is from Mary Hockett from 554 Chippewa Trail. Thank you for this opportunity to address the board. I tend to stay away from crowds during the pandemic, so please allow me to give you my opinion in this email. I have attended and spoke at past board meetings, citing my reasons as to why marijuana cultivation and the sale of it in our village is a terrible idea. There are so many health reasons and social reasons as to why marijuana usage is unhealthy and just plain wrong. There is much research from states where marijuana is legal that speaks to the problems marijuana usage creates. I think the residents at the Village Zoning Commission were clear at the past meeting that we don't want marijuana sold in our village, let alone cultivated in our village. It is like volunteering to ask for a landfill to be constructed in our village. It will do nothing but deter people from wanting to raise a family in our village or wholesome businesses from staying around. There are chemicals that can cause harmful effects, more security will be needed, and the wrong type of people will seek out this area to do their business in. Please support the residents and families that make Carroll Stream a safe place to live. Support local businesses already established who are struggling to keep afloat during the global pandemic. continue to support families and schools who are struggling at this time. But do not invite trouble when none exists regarding an unhealthy drug cultivation plant. There is no financial advantage for the village to allow such a plant. Please don't vote to defile our lovely village with a drug which was illegal for years for good reasons. Keep our village safe and wonderful.
Thank you, Joe. What he just read were people that had sent in, and we usually don't do that. We changed our way of doing how we do the listening post and give the people the ability that can't come to the meeting, the ability to be able to speak without being here. So that's what those four were. I've been up here for 13 years. We just started doing that, so excuse me for almost putting it aside and not doing it, but the trustees were right on it, so thank you. Okay, so now, there a motion to establish a consent agenda.
So moved?
Second?
Moved by trustee McCarthy, seconded by trustee Geezer. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Zalik.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Gizer.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzaloni.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy. Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
There a motion to establish a consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Frizzaloni, seconded by
Your Honor?
trustee Zalik.
We want me to read off the items in the consent?
What?
We have to read off the items in the consent and decide which items we want to have on the.
On the consent agenda.
What?
You still got to read the items before we vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're out of practice.
I hate changes.
There's a song about that. Planning Commission, Zoning Board of Appeals. Under item A, docket number 20-7, petitioner Village of Carroll Stream on the text amendment cannabis cultivation centers and craft growers, recommended for approval 3-2.
Yes.
Off.
Item B, docket 20-18, 520 East North Avenue, Carroll Stream Marketplace, 122 South Chamel Road, amendment to a special use for a planned unit development, special use for a drive-up service window, final planned unit development plan, and plat of re-subdivision. Recommended approval with conditions 5-0.
Yes.
Yes.
Staff reports and recommendations. Awarding the 2020 correct fill project to Denler Incorporated at the bid unit prices submitted of $62,040.
Yes.
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 Under ordinances, an ordinance amending Chapter 11, Article 2 of the Carroll Stream Code of Ordinances by decreasing the number of Class N liquor licenses from 1 to 0.
Yes.
Yes.
That would be ordinance number 2020-8-27. Next ordinance is an ordinance amending Chapter 16 of the Municipal Code of the Village of Carroll Stream for adult use cannabis cultivation centers and craft growers as special uses in the I Industrial District.
That'd be off with 1A.
Next ordinance is ordinance approving an amendment to a special use permit for a planned unit development, a special use permit for a drive-up service window, and a final PUD plan for 2 commercial buildings.
Yes.
Yes.
That'd be ordinance 2020-8-28. Next is resolution approving a local agency agreement for federal participation for the Coon Road Bike Trail,
Yes.
Yes.
Resolution 3150. This is resolution authorizing the execution of an Illinois Department of Transportation preliminary engineering services agreement for federal participation for the Coon Road Bike Road Extension in the amount of $102,701.
Yes.
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 Resolution number 3151. Next resolution is a resolution amending resolution number 3133, adopting the 2020-21 employee compensation plan to create the new code professional 3 position.
Yes.
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 That's resolution number 3152. Next is a resolution to authorize the placement of a referendum question on the November 3rd, 2020 ballot, asking voters whether they wish to change the village clerk from an elected to an appointed position.
Yes.
Yes.
That is resolution number 3153. Under new business, appointment of John Threlkeld to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners for a term expiring April 30th, 2023.
Yes.
Next is payment of bills. Regular bills, July 21st through August 3rd, 2020.
Yes.
Yes.
Addendum warrants, July 21st through August 3rd, 2020.
Yes.
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 Regular bills, August 4th through August 17th, 2020.
Yes.
Yes.
Addendum warrants, August 4th through August 17th, 2020.
Yes.
Yes.
Under Report of Officers, Treasury Reports, Revenue and Expenditure Statements, and Balance Sheets for the months ending June 30th, 2020 and July 31st, 2020.
Received.
Received.
Is there a motion to put those items on the consent agenda?
Moved.
Second?
Moved by trustee LaRocca, seconded by trustee Pierre,
McCarthy.
McCarthy. Clerk call the roll.
Trustee Zalik.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzloni.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy. Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
Before we get into the next, I'd like to swear John in.
Absolutely.
Is there a motion to approve those items by omnibus vote?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Giesers, seconded by trustee Frizzloni. Clerk call the roll.
Trustee Zalik.
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca.
Aye.
Trustee Giesers.
Aye.
Trustee Frizzloni.
Aye.
Trustee Schwarzy. Trustee McCarthy.
Aye.
John has agreed to fill a position of Kirby Williams that moved out of town, that was on our police and fire commission. John's background is so extensive in law enforcement and working with our police department. When I thought we needed somebody, when Kirby told me he was leaving, which he gave me a year and a half's notice, I kept after John because I know John working with the police department and I know he's retired. His credentials are unbelievable. We're so glad to have him. John will be working with our police department on candidates that want to come to be on the police department. That's a three-member board right now. And it works out really good. So having an experience like that when you're vetting a future police officer is a good thing. So with that, now that I said that, pick that up. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Threlkeld,
Do solemnly swear that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
do solemnly swear that I will support and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the ordinances of the Village of Carroll Stream,
the ordinances of the Village of Carroll Stream,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
the duties of Commissioner on the Board of Fire and Police Commission,
to the best of my abilities, the duties of Commissioner on the Board of Fire and Police Commission,
dated at Carroll Stream, Illinois, this 17th day of August, 2020. Congratulations. Fifth call.
Thank you, sir.
And again, thank you very much for filling that position.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. It's much appreciated.
I just wanted to say, I'm not a public speaker, so this is probably going to be the shortest speech. Thank you very much for your faith in me, and I'll do the best I can on making sure that police officers, we vet them and get some good officers on the force.
Thank you, John.
You do great.
You'll do terrific.
You do great, brother.
We're very fortunate that we've got people that live in the community with experience like that we could call on, that was willing to step into that position. Okay, so where are we, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, sir, you are at the next item that was pulled.
So that would be F1 and I2, and they were pulled off. I think trustee Frizzloni pulled that off?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Chair, I did. Based on we've had some residents that have stood up to comment. I think I have said in the past, and I still support this wholeheartedly, We already voted no once to allowing cultivation centers. I think that it is very irresponsible of the board to make a change to what we've already voted on based on, we got some phone calls. At the time that we voted for no cultivation centers in Carroll Stream, we were doing what the residents of Carroll Stream asked of us, and we were doing our jobs, even though it was a very tough conversation for us to have. We did not all agree, but ultimately, the vote went to not allow cultivation centers in Carroll Stream. Then the phone calls started with people asking, which way did we opt? Did we opt in? Did we opt out? Would we consider changing our ordinance? And that's where we're at right now. We sent information to staff and said, please prepare this information and send it to the Plan Commission. Now, the Plan Commission did their job, staff did their job. It's our turn to do our job. We said no once, and I don't see any overwhelming information right now to change the way that we voted back in December. Residents have been reaching out through text messages, phone, through emails, through social media, and asking, why now? Why is the board making this decision? Why are you changing your mind? What's in it for the residents? And there's a lot of misconceptions out there that there's a ton of money that's going to be made from this. And as the mayor pointed out, the best that we can hope for is for revenue from utilities. They're not going to pay any additional money in property taxes. Those buildings are we're already getting tax revenue for property taxes on those buildings because they're owned by someone right now, unless it's new construction, and I'm not aware of a whole lot of open property right now in town where we can construct new buildings. We have a low vacancy rate, which means we have the advantage of being able to really target businesses and try and attract businesses that are going to bring more to town. We can start really looking at potential businesses that come into our industrial park that would be sales tax generating or be manufacturing that's going to be using a lot of utilities and bring in a lot more workers than what these cultivation centers would be bringing in. So I am still of the opinion that we voted no. It's not the right fit for Carroll Stream. It wasn't in December, and it still isn't now. So my personal opinion is no.
Thank you, trustee Furzaloni. Trustee McCarthy.
I actually, when we passed the retail facility, I actually am one of the ones who threw in the no cultivation. And it's real simple. If we're going to do a controversial issue, I want something in it for the village, and I just don't think there's enough in it for the village. If we could make a ton of money, I might be having a different conversation, to be honest with everybody. But in this case, there's not enough jobs. You're not going to hire 100 people. There's not going to be a retail tax. And I'd rather have the opportunity to possibly have somebody, another business in there. I don't want to give them the opportunity to take a space that might be a better fit for somebody else. So that's just where I sit. Thank you.
Anyone else?
You want to go?
Trustee Gieser?
Certainly. Certainly, we do have a 3% or a 4% vacancy rate, but wouldn't it be nice if we could reduce it even further? This is a legal business. There's interest from 25 different organizations. That doesn't mean they're going to come to Carroll Stream, that they've expressed interest. We promised in the fall when we were going through I'm going to take this down. When we promised during the fall, when we were going through the property tax hearings, that we would do absolutely everything within our power to bring in additional revenue. Well, here is an opportunity to bring in some revenue. Granted, it is only utility taxes. But Don Bastian, our Community Development Director, how many businesses within the industrial park right now, within that, our sales tax revenue? I mean, is it, are the majority of the businesses just utility tax providers?
Certainly,
Okay. This will also provide jobs. It will also, as I mentioned, fill space. And it will, as I mentioned, provide tax revenue, albeit with the utility taxes. I see this as a win for Carol Stream. We're getting an additional business into Carol Stream, a potential business into Carol Stream. The one thing I've been thinking about is if we had, if this was switched and a distiller wanted to come into town and make gin or vodka or whiskey, would we be having the same issue? I don't think we would. This, as I mentioned, this is a legal business, and I believe this is something we should vote yes on, and I will be voting yes on it.
Thank you, trustee Geezer. Trustee LaRocca?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Everybody knows my position on cannabis, and it was the same position when we voted on whether we're going to have an establishment in town for selling, and I was against it. And my position hasn't changed with the cultivation center. I don't have a lot of information to make to really speak intelligently on the topic of a cultivation center. What I have to go on is, do I think it is an appropriate business for Carol Stream? I do not. It is not an appropriate Carol Stream at all. And the one thing I keep falling back on was, I talked to a lot of people, and there's arguments both ways. Everybody has an opinion on cannabis. I respect everybody's opinion. One opinion, one of the persons that I asked, and just talking, casual conversation, her comment to me was, "Dad, you better not vote yes." And that struck me right in the heart. And what kind of message are we sending to our children that we're raising in this great community by approving a cultivation center, let alone we've already approved selling, which I'm against, and I don't think it's appropriate for Carol Stream. That being said, I'll say thank you.
Thank you, trustee LaRocca. Trustee Swarzy?
Sure, thank you, sir. I really, honestly, sincerely respect everybody's comments that spoke today, and of course, last winter when we were speaking as well. I guess I don't have the fear of the consequences that maybe some other people have been having. I mean, we kind of heard a lot of these same concerns when we decided to bring in, the poker machines and the gambling, and we had meetings just like this, and I don't feel that those concerns panned out, and I don't believe we've had a real problem with those, and so I think it's more just a philosophy. I don't see this being, I just don't see the fears that maybe some other people do, so.
Thank you. Trustee Zalick? You don't have to speak if you don't want to. I'm not calling on you to.
No, I am doing a tug of war I am internally having a tug of war, and it's like lasting for days, weeks. Being a police officer for 25, 26 years, that was, cannabis, illegal, arrest them. But then our governor, JB, made it legal. And did I agree with it? No. But this is not the world according to John. This is Carol Stream. So when we went through the dispensary discussion, I went to the DuPage County and found out what residents, who they voted for. Do they vote for JB or do they vote for Rauner? And they voted for JB, the majority of them. Over probably 15% more voted for JB than Rauner. So I'm like, okay, so if it was, I don't smoke pot, I've never done it, I don't want to do it, but it's legal. And understand, some people have said, well, they're so close to the homes. Well, actually, they can't be 1,500 feet to a residential area. Yet, we can have a sex offender, a predator, 500 feet from a child's house. So, is a plant more dangerous or a sex offender? So I'm like tug of war, and it's just, I'm trying to take all the residents, not just the people that spoke, not the people that, came in with their virtual comments. But it's legal. And and it's, another person said, support, small town businesses. Well, craft grower is a small town business. It is a small business. So it's like, I'm torn, and yes, another gentleman spoke about how many plants, and then Mr. Mayor mentioned, well, that's gonna take a lot of water and electricity, so that will bring in utilities. So it's like, I'm going back and forth, and it's one of the toughest decisions. I picked a heck of a time to run for trustee with the property tax, the dispensary, the cultivation center, and now COVID. So it's.
Been here for 19 years, and I have to agree with you. This
It's-
is the roughest year I've ever seen.
Yeah, one minute I'm thinking yes, the next minute I'm thinking no, one minute I'm thinking yes, and I'm going back and forth trying to take all residents into my mind when I make my decision. So, and and if you don't think this is tough, feel free to run and see if you could do a better job, but this is tough. I have my views, but this is not John Zalak City. This is Carroll Stream, and I got to think of what's best for Carroll Stream. So, and that's my comments.
I saw this coming, so do we need to take a vote?
I'd like to make a motion to deny the zoning tech code text amendment.
Second.
Moved by trustee McCarthy, seconded by trustee Fruzzalone. We need a roll call? We got 2 noes.
Well,
You still got to do a roll call.
so the motion is to
For some
deny,
reason,
so-
I am having a hard time. Everybody's got their faces covered. I don't want to make a mistake and say something.
So the motion is to deny, so so a yes would be an affirmative vote to deny.
Okay. So then what do we do?
Clerk, call the roll.
Call the roll? I said that before, call the roll.
Yes.
Is to deny. Okay, so we got 2 noes, correct?
Which are yeses, I haven't called.
Well, all we did is we just
Technically,
made the
2
motion.
yeses to deny.
Well, we just made a motion to to do
call
a
the roll.
roll call.
Okay, call the roll.
Trustee Zalik.
Nay.
Trustee LaRocca.
If I am for. If I'm for the motion to deny, then I want to say yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Trustee Giesner.
No.
Trustee Fruzzalone.
Yes.
Trustee Schwarzy.
No.
Trustee McCarthy.
Yes.
So that leaves it to me. I knew that was going to happen when we come in here. And to be honest with you, I hate drugs. I love money. And everybody, we love money because we can have a much better town when we have money. But I think in this case, I think for the little bit of money that we're talking about, the small amount, and I know there's going to be some people that are going to be unhappy with me, I don't think that even a cultivator, I don't think that we can get enough money in utilities. There isn't a big enough building left in town that would mean like 200,000 square feet where you got 1,000 plants and grow lights and everything. I don't care if people don't like me. So my vote is simple. Having grandkids and raised in 44 years in this town, I'm voting no. Is that right?
No,
I vote yes for them. I don't want it. Sitting up here, and believe me, thank you all for coming in, and I appreciate it, and some of you have a lot of respect, most of you that are here, I have respect that you even showed up here. But your opinion is important to us, but also running this village is important to all of us. You could see we don't all agree. One of the other things I base my decision on is the planning commission voted, what was it, 3-2? 3-2. That usually doesn't happen. It's usually all for it or all against it, or maybe 4 for it and 1 against it. But that question of having it, we don't even know if anybody would come. It's not like we got people that are lined up. They ask the question, could we do it? They go to community development. They spend a lot of time on it. From this point forward, we're done with cannabis as far as I'm concerned. I got 3 more years here that I'll be here. It should never come back again. I won't, if I could stop it, it'll never come back again. So that community development can get back on to what they do the best, is to get the people to come in our community that could pay taxes and bring more money so we don't have to pay more property tax. So community development, thank you for the extra work that you did, Don. Thank you and your people. Believe me when I tell you, we appreciate it. Okay, now where are we, Mr. Attorney?
Report of officers.
Are you sure? Okay, sure, I'm gonna put my mask on, I'm gonna mumble. Okay. Trustee Zalik.
Oh, okay. Well, first off, I do want to congratulate John. I've known John for years. He was in CERT and a volunteer, and we worked together in training, and I might have shot you once, sorry. Yeah, great guy. His character is, I don't think there was a better choice that I can think of right now than John. So congratulations, John, and you will do outstanding. So thank you. Second of all, congrats to our police department, especially our traffic unit and Sergeant Cleaver, who runs the traffic unit. They came in first place in the Illinois Traffic Safety Challenge. And it's just another reason to love the police department for keeping our roads safe and to justify never to defund them. Thirdly, schools. I know most of them are starting remotely, but eventually they will go back to school, and there's school bus safety. So please, 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 when you start seeing the school buses with the red lights flashing and the stop sign extended, just use care driving for our kids. And finally, it was a tough decision. I'm still like, but the vote was taken, and I'm gonna live with that, and maybe it was the right decision. Maybe it wasn't, but it was the vote, and so, and I'm good with it, because one minute I was one way, one minute I was the other, so, maybe it was for the best, so, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Trustee Zalik. Well, being we're going that way, Trustee Fruzzoloni.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you so much to our residents. We have a very passionate town, and whether you are very passionate for or against a subject, I just want to say thank you to our residents for getting involved, for caring, for coming out to speak, regardless whether you are for something, against something. We've had a lot of residents that have reached out to us during the pandemic. This is very unprecedented times for this board, and these decisions are extremely difficult. Ultimately, we have to make the decisions that we think are the very best for our town. And some of them are not the most popular of decisions. But I want to say thank you to the residents that have reached out, that support us, and especially the residents that have reached out to support our police department. These are very difficult times for our police officers, and they definitely feel the love. They really do. So please continue to care about Carol Stream, be involved. This pandemic will end at some point, hopefully, and we can come together for our Thursday night concerts again and do more of our community outreach programs where we can feel more community with each other. Trustee Zalik talked about kids returning to school. This is a very tough time. As a parent, I don't have the answers. I know that there has been residents that have reached out and said that they want the village board to weigh in and to make decisions for the school boards, and we just simply can't do that. That is way outside of the scope of our jurisdiction. The school boards are elected by you, by the residents, and they're making the very best decisions that they can, from the federal level to the state level to the county level to even to our level. We don't have all the answers. We're still learning on a daily basis, what does this pandemic really mean? What are the long-range impacts of this? So to our students, welcome back to school, whatever the new normal looks like. It was unusual to see the Facebook post today with kids sitting in front of the computers instead of standing on the driveways waving goodbye to their parents. But you are a very resilient generation, and I know that this is the generation of any generations that will be able to get through this pandemic and be stronger and learn from it. And hopefully when you get to be our age, you're sitting up here making decisions for your town too, because you've learned something along the way that when the times get tough, the community comes together. But having said that, for I guess people who are out and about during the day, keep in mind that right now, a lot of the schools are just doing half-day. So you may see kids during what you would think the school day time would be, and you may not be expecting them to be outside playing. You may not expect a ball to come flying across the street. So please slow down in the residential areas. Please be aware that not every school has started, and the schools that have started, like the high school right now, is doing half-days until they can start working into more hours of the day and figure out lunch service and things like that. So please watch out for kids that might be outside taking advantage of the warm weather. I want to say thank you to our Public Works Department. Last Monday was darn scary. I don't know if anyone, saw that little, 15 tornadoes that touched down in Illinois, but that storm was really scary. And as soon as it was safe, within a half hour of the storm passing Carroll Stream, we had crews out. We deployed our Public Works Department to go out and to be checking town and to be moving uprooted trees and tree branches out of the public roadways. And then they spent several days just cleaning up town. There was a lot of cleanup that had to go into this. We also were able to provide mutual assistance to neighboring towns that were harder hit than we were. We participate in a mutual assistance program where when we've needed it, other towns have sent crews in to help us, and we do the same. So congratulations and thank you to our Public Works Department, because as that storm ended, those guys had just got home from working their 8-hour shift, and they were back out and out for a long time that night trying to clear roadways and make it safe for our residents, especially because there was a pretty significant power outage. So thank you to our Public Works Department for the storm cleanup efforts last week. I want to talk about vandalism. There's a serious issue going on right now. The Park District has been putting out information, but there's some vandalism issues that are going on in our public parks right now. Armstrong Park has been particularly hard hit. I know Hampy Park was particularly hard hit. And when I say vandalism, I'm actually talking about full-blown property destruction. Our police chief knows how many police reports that the Park District has filed in the last several weeks. We're not just talking about kids that are going out and spray painting or, scratching their names into the slides. We're talking about they're ripping the sinks and other, whatever they can rip out of walls in public restrooms. They are destroying property. And we don't understand why. And quite honestly, it's costing the Park District and the residents thousands and thousands of dollars. So this isn't just kids being kids. This is very willful acts of public damage to the Park District property. So I know that the police are doing everything they can to have extra patrols going out, but if you've ever been to Armstrong Park, you know you can get in and out of Armstrong Park countless different ways that the police just can't, if they get a call, they've got to go. They can't keep patrolling, the park, all the different walking paths, all the ways in and out. So we're asking the residents, the Park District has a program, see something, say something. If you see an active, an active act of any kind of vandalism, call 911. The police will respond. If you come across something that needs to be reported to the Park District, call the Park District. Their main number, and they've got, if it's after hours, then it goes to a voicemail system, is 630-784-6100. It's been a big issue, and we want to have the parks available for our kids. Our kids weren't able to go out to the parks for months during the pandemic, and now that they are, we have to close down certain parts of it just because of the widespread acts of, I can't even describe it. I've seen the pictures because my son worked for the Park District over the summer, and I was at an absolute loss for words. So please, if you see something, say something. This takes the community to help the Park District, to help all of us to keep Carroll Stream a great place to live. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention is a couple weeks ago, I was asked by a group of residents if I would be willing to sit down and talk with them regarding their concerns. And we talked about a lot of different topics, racism, racial bias. It was a very long conversation, but it was a great conversation. We had, there were some misconceptions on both of our sides, so we were able to talk through the issues, and I think it was a really positive conversation. I want to thank them for their time. And we also brainstormed some ideas of things that we can do, more community outreach programs that hopefully once COVID starts to make its way out of Illinois and we can start coming together in larger groups, that we can start to put together some of these programs where we can really get out into our community and really reach every one of our residents. So I just want to thank that group of residents that reached out to me for the conversation and for the great ideas. And if there's any other residents, any of us are willing to meet, to talk. If you have ideas, I know our police chief, while he's brand new, and this is technically his first official board meeting, I know that he has been making a huge impact on our police department already. The level of communication coming out of the police department is some of the best that we've had to our residents, and that's to his credit. So I just want to say, Chief, thank you so much for the job you've done in the last couple of weeks, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. And I know that the group that I spoke to is looking forward to speaking with you as well. And with that, I will end my report.
Thank you, Trustee Fruzzoloni. Trustee McCarthy.
First off, 95% of the time, we all agree. We have a few issues once in a while we disagree on, but make no mistake, whichever side you're on, the 7 people up here are making decisions based on believing they're doing what's the utmost best thing for the village. So nobody look at either side thinking, oh, they're, what are they doing? Each one of us, we're different people, have different views, but all of our one focus view is what's in the best interest of the village, just to let everybody know that. Unfortunately, a couple weeks ago, there was an attempted abduction. Thanks to some really smart, quick-thinking kids, they actually fought it off. However, the reason I brought this up is I believe about a year ago, the police department put out on their social media that they'd love to be able to connect with people's Ring doorbells and cameras. And there was some people who put up a stink that the police were trying to find extra stuff. They were trying to do this. If we had those cameras, we might have, it would help the investigation. I won't say we'd already have them, because we did have a video from, we got one from Glendale Heights, I believe, right? But a more updated one, it sure would have helped. And I think we need to, as residents, maybe revisit that, especially people who live on main sidewalk thoroughfares. I'm between Glenbard North and Western Trails, and there's a sidewalk that goes between the two, which is around the area it happened at. If some of us had access or gave access to the police for cameras around there, things like this, we might scare them off. So I'd really like to see the police put it back out there again. I'd really like to see residents take a little more thought to that, and it's not Big Brother watching, it's the police department trying to make it safer. So that's my comment on that. That we voted on a referendum to make the clerk either appointed or elected. We didn't make a vote to make the clerk appointed. It's going to be up to you. It's going to be on a referendum vote, and what the residents of Carroll Stream vote is exactly what we'll do in that circumstance. Everybody's talking about school and kids. I constantly get grief. Can we please tell the residents to stop at crosswalks? People are horrendous at stopping at crosswalks. If somebody's in a crosswalk, stop your car. They have the right to cross all the way across. The other side, people make sure you're not just jumping out into the street. Cars take a little longer to stop than a person, so. But instead of getting angry, maybe we should just lighten up and say, hey, you know what, and let them go. If we take it down a notch and relax a little bit, that might help all of us. Again, just my 2 cents. John, welcome aboard. What a great fit. I have no doubt that you will be a large benefit to us in your new role, and thank you for taking it on. With that, I will end my report.
Thank you, Trustee Swarzy.
I'm Trustee McCarthy.
John LaRocca?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hey, just a few items tonight. First off, congratulations, John, and thank you for serving on the Fire and Police Commission. And I'm going to circle back with you in a minute. Okay. So don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss this. Of course, as always, I want to thank our staff, our PD. They always do a great job. Our Public Works Department always do a great job, and our administrative staff always do a great job. You're hardworking people, and from me to you, I appreciate all of your efforts. Thank you. Okay, and residents, thank you very much for attending this evening. Thank you for your public comments, and thank you to those who emailed in your public comments. Very much appreciated. Thank you. I'm going to circle back to something John did when he stood up here. He took an oath of office. And what I'm getting at is areas in this country have gone crazy, just flat out crazy. And the biggest part of it that I can't understand is how it is being allowed. And you have mayors and governors in these cities and states that are allowing this to happen. And I mean, I look at it as this a violation of their oath of office, because they're allowing this. And they should be immediately removed from office. Now, how that happens, I don't know. But that's my opinion, and they're not abiding by their oath of office, and that's very aggravating. If somebody could explain that to me, I'd appreciate it. Have a mayor in New York City not only allowed a defacement of public property, he helped do it. Which is a very confusing time, very sad time, and I think what I'm upset most about is that my children, my grandchildren have to put up with all of this. And it tears my heart out. It does. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, that's all.
Thank you, Trustee LaRocca. Trustee Gieser.
Thank you very much. Thank you to the residents who participated either here in person or with their digital comments. Thank you very much for participating. I also want to wish all the returning students a best of luck for the coming year at all levels. My son is a junior at the University of Illinois, and I'm really pleased with what they're doing there, where they're testing each kid twice a week. They've developed their own test. It's a saliva test where they get the results in 4 hours. If anybody in this room has had the test and gotten the results within 4 hours, please let me know where to go, because I know that's not happening around here. So, I'm very pleased with that, and hopefully that could be rolled out throughout the state. Also, congratulations to John for being appointed to the Board of Fire and Police Commission. I served as a Fire and Police Commissioner for 1.5 years before I was a trustee. It's a very rewarding position, and it is a great community service. It's a position that not a lot of people, you, of course, being such a great volunteer for the police department, are aware of the duties of that position, and I know you will do a terrific job and will always have the residents of Carol Stream on your mind. So thank you very much for serving. And as we're all trying to figure out what to do, and we're tired of watching another binge series on Netflix or Hulu, and we've made another puzzle, my wife and I keep making puzzles, but if you're looking for something to do with your family, we can still socially distance, still have some fun. Consider the DuPage County Forest Preserves. We are so darn lucky to have so many terrific forest preserves and nature sanctuaries within a few minutes of where we live right here. My wife and I are trying to hit at least a couple a week. And I think getting out in nature, communing with the outdoors is a good thing for all of us. And maybe, Trustee McCarthy, if people spent a little more time doing that, they would calm down a little bit and they wouldn't have to drive so goddamn fast and approach all the intersections. So that is my report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trustee Geiser. Trustee Suarez.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. John, congratulations. You know what? It's the first time I think I've ever seen you without a hat on. And so next time I'll wear my tie, you wear your hat, okay? But congratulations, you'll do a great job, and thank you for volunteering as you always do. So good luck to all the students and best wishes. I can only imagine what you're going through, but I do wish you really well and hope it's a successful year. As far as our new Chief Homer, this is his really first official meeting, like Mary had mentioned. So welcome and thank you for taking this job and already making a big impact already. So thank you very much. With regard to our vote today, I've been here 13.5 years, Mr. Mayor. This might have been the third or fourth time you've had to make a tie-breaking vote. Does that sound?
Second, I think.
Second, okay. I can remember one for sure. You know, we are very fortunate to have this board. I mean, I think everybody is up here for the right reasons. I know Trustee McCarthy mentioned that. We agree a lot. We don't always agree, but there's never any hard feelings. We know we're all up here for the right reasons, and that's what makes the difference. So thank you guys very much, and I appreciate living in a town where you have a board that get to work with you guys and know that you're here for the right reasons. So the only other thing I want to mention is it's always important to shop in Carol Stream. So ends my report.
Thank you, Trustee Suarez. Mr. Hildebrand, you came in late and you put this paper and you would like to speak, and because you got that uniform on, you've got the podium.
I'm sorry this came so late, but we had the first anniversary of our memorial last May, which was not exactly as fantastic as the dedication was because of the virus and everything. And the Post has decided to get, my daughter did a photo book about it, and we decided we thought the village should have a copy because Mr. Mayor was very much involved, Rick Geiser was involved, Joe was involved, Greg was in part of a fundraiser, and a lot of you came out to the fundraisers. I know Matt organized a fundraiser and that. So I would like to present to the board and to the mayor a copy of this photo album, a memorial of the construction and the events leading up to the memorial.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Hildebrand.
Rich? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank,
Well,
You want me to take your pic, you want to take just the two of you's
yeah.
picture?
Mr. Hildebrand, do we have anybody with a camera? We got to use a phone.
we all have camera phones. Joe has one.
Why don't you, can you come up, come around the back?
It could just be the two of you. Can't get too close together.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't care
Always
about the
leave
other
them two.
trustees as long
Yeah,
as
that's
the three of us. Come on, Mary, come over here. You don't want to come in? Okay.
No, this should be you.
No, you
It
two.
should be- It should be the two of you. That's the right thing, Mr. Mayor.
Like the president.
She usually does it the second one in a different language. Just saying.
It's true.
Well, now it's my turn. I made a comment a few meetings back that we don't always agree, but we don't always disagree either. I just want to say my decision really wasn't based on anything that I know about drugs being good or bad. It just doesn't seem economically for us, after I thought about it more. Earlier today, I probably would have voted yes, and then I thought about it again, and we don't have a building big enough left in Carroll Stream or to build one. Did you want to say something?
Normally, you go to the village manager and village
Oh,
attorney. I don't want
jeez,
you
I'm
to forget
sorry.
them.
I am not with it tonight for some reason. I don't know, I took 2 cold tablets for, and I don't have a cold, but the allergies are getting me, so that means that, Mr. Rhodes, do you have?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just,
No, that's okay. That's what you're up here for. We're a team, you know, I mean, I'm not with the program tonight, but
Mr. Mayor, I don't have anything other than to say welcome to John, and I look forward to working with him on the Board of Fire and Police Commission.
thank you.
Thank you.
On behalf of staff, I also want to welcome John and thank you for volunteering again. You'll be working closely with our HR director and staff regarding hiring and promotions for the police department. So welcome aboard. Tonight, the village board approved a contract with Denler, Inc. For the 2020 crack filling program. That will begin early next month. And it should take about a couple of weeks to complete, but I'm sure you've all seen the cracks filled in the streets, and they look like big worms in the roads. So that'll be done. It extends the life of the roadways. There was several comments made about the process tonight for consideration of the cannabis grow facilities. Unfortunately, we didn't have any students here tonight to see the democratic process in work. It would have been a good example of how it should work. The matter was considered by the Plan Commission. The Plan Commission heard the residents' concerns in support of it. The Plan Commission made the recommendation to the village board. The board also heard comments from the residents. They were very respectful of each other, and they made a decision based on their feelings and the comments that were made by the residents of Carroll Stream. So I thought it was done very well. You were all very respectful of each other, and thank you for making local government a model for other governmental entities. And that's all I have.
Thank you. I think that John LaRocca probably said it best. You see things that are happening around right now in the country, in the world, that we've never seen before. If you think about it, I call it the perfect storm, and you look at the last 5 months, 6 months, things that have happened, it took 100 years to happen. The only thing we haven't had, thank God, is a world war. We've had pandemics, we've had, I mean, everybody's going broke. The stock market's up, it's down, people lost their jobs, unemployment's at a record high. We can't find any common ground between the two parties that run this country. Hatred is probably the worst disease that you could have. When you hate somebody that bad, you do things and say things, and then it never ends, and everybody gets caught in the middle. And watching some of these towns, and I feel the same way, watching them burn and watching and having the chief of police have to resign because they're told to stand down and you're on your own. I mean, this is America. We're a law and order country. There is no other way. I don't want to be like Russia. I don't want to be like a lot of those countries that are dictators. I don't want that here. None of us do. And we get very confused. I probably spend a lot more time on things I shouldn't, trying to figure out why people are doing what they're doing, so it doesn't happen to us. As Mary said, she met with people that wanted to talk. I've met with people several times that wanted to talk. I think I was a little bit more confused when I got done talking than before I went into the meeting. But whatever we did get out of it, it seemed like it seemed to work, and that's the main thing. What I like is peace and tranquility. I love my town. I got criticized for calling Carol Stream Mayberry. I look at Mayberry as being a great program on television where the sheriff had no gun and the deputy had one bullet in his pocket and no one ever got shot, and it was like, that's the community we live in here. These people, we all get along with each other. Somebody didn't like that. Mayberry is not a good thing to call Carol Stream. But I am who I am, and that's how I feel. I've raised all my kids here. They all went through the school system here. Been here for 44 years. I love this town like everybody else. People that come in and talk, they love this town. Why do we love it? Because of the people. There's no big shopping center here. We don't. You can't even buy a television in this town. Want to buy clothes, you got to go to Savers and get used clothes. There ain't even a place to buy a pair of pants in this town. I mean, and I don't mean it as a joke. It is what we are. It was set up in 1959 to be a residential on one side of Gary Avenue and industrial on the other side. So all the people that live here got a place to go to work. You don't have to get in your car and drive 40 miles to go to work. You can get on your bike, or you can walk, or you can drive 3 miles to get to work, or 2 miles. I think it's 6 miles from one end to the other. I never measured it. I know it ain't very long. But we're in confusing times, and the young people today are very, very confused because I don't think, by not being in school, and I heard my grandson was at my house over the weekend, and he said, you know, Papa, he said, I've got a 5-year-old, and I'm afraid that 5-year-old isn't going to learn how to interact with other kids because she's not going to go to school. It's not just learning. I could teach her how to A, B, C, D. She can count up to 50. He's teaching her, but how do you teach socializing with each other? That's the problem. And yet, when you look at the problems we have with COVID-19, do you want to send your kid? Do the teachers want to go to school? Do you want to see, the death rate is low. It's coming down, the death rate, but it seems like the figures are going up. I'm not sure they're going up because we're testing more. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, and I don't think, to be honest with you, one day they say wear a mask, the next day they say don't wear a mask, don't wear a mask, like I don't see any of them on, up that you pull up, because they're worst thing you could have. I got the K95 mask, I got these masks, I got a black mask. It's like, I don't know what to wear anymore. It's like, I don't know. We're just in crazy times. We got to just learn how to learn that we can get along with each other. We're all here, staff put together bias training for us, and thank you for doing that. And everybody took bias training. I think I figured it out. There must be something wrong with me because I like everybody. And that's not normal. I guess it isn't normal that I like everybody. But I grew up in the inner city, went to a school where I was the only white kid in a class, and I got along with everybody. And that's confusing to me because we should be able to get along with each other. If we don't talk down and we respect each other, they respected me, I respected them. I went to school every day, I never had any problems. I go in their neighborhood. They came in my neighborhood. We never had a problem. Today I look and it's sad when you think about it. I got friends that bought condos downtown that want to sell them. They can't even get rid of them. 55 shot in Chicago and 5 dead. in a weekend where they had 1,000 extra cops in there? I mean, what is happening here? What is this world coming to? What are we teaching our kids? What are our grandkids looking at? What do they see on television? A bunch of people with umbrellas shooting and throwing stuff and beating police officers up? Law and order to me is what keeps this country in what it should be. There's no respect for uniforms. We got a fireman, we got an ex-police officer here that I have nothing but respect for, and a chief, and if, without them, somebody said to me, well, you know, you should take some of the money from the police department. I said, you know, I was thinking about doing that. And they go, really? I said, yeah. I said, think about getting rid of all of them. Then it would be like Mad Max and a Road Warrior. Everybody be carrying guns. Everybody be out doing what they want to do. And that's scary when you think about it. We need law and order. We need to do, when you have to be accountable for what you do. And if you're not accountable, who cares what you do? If they're going to just put you in on Friday, and the new police chief in Chicago, I don't know where they got him, but I love the guy. 5 meetings in a row, 5 weeks in a row, he said, they're asking questions, and he said, you see any politicians up here? I'm the police chief, he said. You need to ask your politicians these questions, because I'm not a politician, I'm a police chief. I like that answer. His job is law and order. He said, I put them in jail on Friday, and Monday they're back out and got another gun. He's right. Can't do that. We got to figure out what we're doing wrong, and we got to figure out how to fix that. So, it's me. I wasn't going to get on the soapbox. John, I love you. You know, thank you for all. I watch what you do with the Knights of Columbus. I watch what you've done with the police department. I know your background. I know your wife. You're wonderful people. We're fortunate to have people like you. I've been fortunate to pick people and be able to get people to come on these boards, to work on our planning commission, that have a lot of experience, to work with Don and Tom Ferrasi to make it a better community, and that's what it takes. It takes people like John to step forward, and I asked once, and you were my target from the very beginning when Kirby said he was going to leave, because I know your background. And hearing John Zalek talk about you tonight made me feel that much better that the right decision was made. I want to thank the board for all going along with that decision. Some of you knew John, and some of you might not have known him, but John's a wonderful guy, and we're lucky to have people like that in our community and to take a board. It's a job that's thankless. He'll sit there and interview and help go through 250 to 300 applicants that might want to come in, make a decision at the final end of who's going to get hired, of course, with other help, but not a lot of help, and he doesn't get paid a dime for it. That's what I call dedication, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. So with that, I'll end my report. Are we going into closed session?
We do have training after this for the village
Training,
board,
that's
yes.
why it's not on here. See, I thought I was going to get out of here. Okay, well, I told him I got to call my wife now.
I'll make the motion to,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Moved by trustee Swarzy, seconded by trustee McCarthy. Clerk, call the roll.
Trustee Zalek?
Aye.
Trustee LaRocca?
Aye.
Trustee Keizer?
Aye.
Trustee Frugielani? Aye. Trustee Schwarzy?
Aye.
Trustee McCarthy?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.